Rory Stories was born out of, I mean, even though it's light-hearted and you do get to poke fun of the crazy life that we're going through at the moment, but it came out of darker circumstances, didn't it?
Yeah, I thought it's very, it's known now that I have struggled with mental health, continue to do so, the good and bad days. And when I done the memoir, Rory Stories, a couple of years ago, I delved into how Rory Stories began. And yeah, so I'm kind of true to myself with that. Like, it is a big part of what I do is the well-being. It's probably my most passionate is kind of shining the light on it, because I know what it's like myself, and I know what it's like myself to have been at that rock bottom moment,
But when you started doing that, you're a fine, strapping fella, you're fit, all the rest of it, to share your vulnerability. You're used to doing it now maybe, and more people have followed you, but to be one of the first to come out and say, you know what, I'm not always great, that takes bravery.
Yeah, it does, and I know, and I can emphasise with anyone in that it is hard. Like, I remember the moment, like, I sat in my kitchen and I told my own father where my head was at, like, and like most parents, they're surprised, but they were very supportive, and from that day, like, everything improved. Now, as I say to people, I do a lot of talks for schools and companies, like, you can't guarantee every day is going to be great once you accept, but once you accept it, you've opened up.
Yeah.
And you're not just having that battle in your own head anymore. You're able to say, listen, I do struggle, and that's okay to struggle. And because what happens when we keep it in our own mind, it becomes louder and bigger, and it can become a big issue then. So talking about it is definitely the #1 tip. Like,
and to write it down, as you said in your memoir, was a big eye-opener to a lot of people, because they see this happy-go-lucky fella on social media, whatever else, and to speak to your dad. The big thing that stuck out for me was in Hell Week last year, because that was a really challenging time you went through, and you opened up big time. And I think I'd say you were probably nervous before you didn't know what they were going to show, but I'd say the response you got to that, to being a guy like yourself, being so vulnerable in front of the TV cameras, must have been tough.
No, I remember the moment, and like all good TV, like, it was like I was crying every 10 minutes. Like, and
you weren't.
I know when I come back to my local GA club, the first thing the boys like, Rory, there's Kleenex tissues there for you, and that's all banter, not mine.
Yeah.
But it was, I remember a specific interview I was brought in, and because you're so tired, you're so starved, you're exhausted, there's just emotions are there. And yeah, I remember, like, fairness to Jamie, the producer of the show, gave me the heads up that morning, because we don't see any of it. We just see it with you guys, which was terrifying. And he said, listen, tonight is a tough episode, but trust me, it comes across well. And I remember watching my wife, Emma, on the couch, and it was tough. But Emma was like, I've seen that in you before. I know that's in you, that person's there as well. But the bottom line is, Tommy, is the response was genuinely overwhelming. Like, it was.
It really hit me, watching it, and so many people I know felt the same.
Yeah, no, it was, and I did feel proud of myself, because I've always been on about mental health from the get-go. Since Rory Stories had 2,000 followers, I've always put up any kind of positive message I can. So someone reading that was in the headspace I was, might help them at that moment in time, and I'm aware of that. And yeah, like the messages, the emails, people on the street, it was nuts. Like, it really was, and a lot of like women emailing saying, thanks, my husband spoke to me that evening, like, and I was like, wow, like, and if it takes me being a blubbering mess, like, on national TV, it is what it is, just for others to kind of see the light and ask for help.